To both Thomas Jefferson and Andrew Jackson, seeing to it that each new generation of Americans could own land of their own was the key to creating an egalitarian, self-reliant American people. But that meant each new generation had to move farther west, onto land already occupied by Native Americans.
In Jefferson's vision, the frontier was the place that each generation would replicate the ideal Republican community. The problem, of course, is that the Native people are already living out there. And with one eye, Americans managed to not notice them. But with the other eye, they couldn't fail to notice them, because as soon as you got there, you were in conflict with them. And that creates the fundamental tension that becomes the story of Indian removal.
In Jackson's eyes, there was no doubt about who, Native Americans or white men, would make the best use of the land.
What good man would prefer a country covered with forests and ranged by a few thousand savages to our extensive republic, studded with cities, towns, and prosperous farms, occupied by more than 12 million happy people, and filled with all the blessings of liberty, civilization, and religion?
But Native American tribes, such as the Cherokee, had an entirely different view than white men of how to relate to the land.
The Cherokee way is to share, is to be harmonious. They really were a spiritual people. They had a way of life that would perhaps put most Christians to shame. They exercised that way of life daily. Every morning, the whole village would go to the water for a blessing. And at this going to water ritual, this old man sung this song. Hiyo wa yakani, he te huyu yakani, hiwa aki yakani, hiwa sase yakani, hiani zase yakani, hiani he ho yakani. So when I sang that song, it would have been the same sound that you would have heard in the 1700s. So that was all disturbed because of the contact with the whites.
Soon after the creation of the United States, many in the Cherokee tribe decided that their one hope of saving their land was to take Thomas Jefferson's advice and embrace the white man's way of life.
The Cherokees, in fact, took exactly the advice that Jefferson offered. They settled down, they put on European clothing, they developed an alphabet, they learned to read and write, they set up town meetings and a mayor and a city council and all those things. And they still had to go, because the problem was they were sitting in Georgia. And Georgia was to be ours, not theirs. They could not coexist.
Despite all the efforts of the Cherokee to fit in, the United States government evicted thousands of families from their homes and forced them onto what became known as the Trail of Tears. One of the Christian missionaries who traveled with the Cherokee wrote,
"The Cherokees are nearly all prisoners. In Georgia, multitudes were not allowed to take anything with them but the clothes they had on. Well-furnished houses were left a prey to plunderers who, like hungry wolves, follow the progress of the captors and rifle the houses and strip the helpless. I have no language to express the emotions which rend our hearts to witness this season of cruel oppression.
With smallpox and cholera rampant on the Trail of Tears, more than 2,000 Cherokees died. Andrew Jackson had tried to convince Native Americans that he was their great white father. But the Cherokee now had a different name for him.
They call him Jackson. And other Cherokee people hearing me say that would laugh. Jackson, the devil. Jackson. He's devilized.
The forced removal of Native Americans from their land because of their race is one of the most controversial events in our history and raises burning questions. Was Indian removal what we would call today ethnic cleansing? And does it prove that America is not the morally superior nation that many of us like to think it is?